For millennia, people have been fascinated with pyramids. Pyramids are an amazing structure that holds great energy and great potential for activating latent knowledge and healing. These particular pyramids were created by Alexander Golod, who is a Russian researcher who discovered that if you take the golden ratio and deploy it to create a higher aspect ratio pyramid, the energy emission is not only tangible, it's very healing. And so the Russians have built several of these pyramids. You'll see a glass pyramid here as an example that will offer energy into a home or office. A serpentine pyramid over here is a larger energy generator that can actually condition a whole house. Now consider for a moment, what are we meaning by conditioning a whole house? What am I referring to? The Egyptians used the pyramids as the place to preserve the body of the pharaohs. The energy in a pyramid offers a coherent, sustaining vibration that will not only assist with life, it will harmonize things in stasis. So let me explain that a little further. When water is put into a pyramid, a water bottle, and that pyramid is in a sub-zero environment where the temperature is below zero, below freezing, the water doesn't freeze. The Russians have built these pyramids in Siberia, in the coldest area of that continent, where the temperatures go 40 degrees below zero and more. And they have put water bottles in the pyramid, or buckets of water, literally, and it doesn't freeze. You say, why doesn't that happen? And they were curious, why didn't this water freeze? And one guy got a little frustrated and he actually kicked the bucket and the water froze instantly. Then they took the water bottle and shook it and the water froze instantly because the molecules were agitated. So this led the researchers in Russia to investigate the properties of pyramid energy. And what they've learned is amazing. It's something that we can only hope to bring to North America and other countries that are beginning to understand natural healing. Let me give you a few examples. In Russia, where the pyramids were shaped like this, only the first one they did their research in was actually 72 feet tall. Same design as this one. When the pyramid was first built in Russia, the 72-foot tall one, they were constructing it in layers, and just before they put the capstone on, as they were about to place it, the torsion field of energy was so great, this wondrous field of energy, that it scrambled the Russian military fighters. Literally, the military scrambled the fighters because they saw a stationary object in the air. The radar screen led them to believe that something huge had landed and was suspended in space. To this day, that field shows up on the radar, so it's marked on the charts as a benign energy that you can fly through, not a solid object. But once again, science has demonstrated that the energy field of the pyramid is tangible and real, and we are only now rediscovering what that can mean to us. The pyramid was built near a lake that had been polluted. It was a stagnant water that had lots of the community's effluent and toxic material was dumped into it until they saw what they were doing, and then it was just a dead lake. A year after the pyramid was built, the water started running clear. And the local community didn't know why. It made no sense that suddenly the waters ran clear. That spring, outside the pyramid in the meadow, flowers bloomed that no one recognized. And the botanist came in and he looked at the flower, and in an old textbook that was printed in the 1800s, he saw reference to this flower that was now extinct. So extinct flowers, those seeds that had been in the soil for over 150 years, suddenly took bloom. Now this was very exciting and coincidental information. So the Russians, being rigorous scientists, decided they would do the scientific method. And they went and they brought materials into the pyramid to see what did the pyramid's energy, what effect did that have on the materials. For example, they put salt and pepper in the pyramid, conditioned it for a few days, and then took that salt and pepper to a prison where they had a long history of violent outbursts. There was a lot of tension in that prison environment. And after the salt and pepper was ingested by the inmates for a period of a week, they began talking to each other. The violence levels went down. The guards noticed that there was a greater sense of harmony amongst those who were gathered. Now, this sense of harmony began to trigger an aha in the researchers. So they went and they put infant formula in the pyramid and distributed that to the mothers who were on the social support system over there. The children who ingested the infant formula conditioned in the pyramid had less colic, fewer childhood illnesses, and were generally more content and slept better. Now that's an interesting connection, isn't it? That simply the energy of the pyramid would support a sense of happiness and well-being. And so they continued with the experiments. One of the most dramatic was that a laboratory scientist took lab rats that were injected with a fatal poison. Salmonella is fatal to lab rats. Took half of the group and put them in the pyramid after they'd been injected. 100% of the ones in the lab died. The group that went into the pyramid, half of them lived. And that's an amazing statistic because salmonella is 100% fatal to rats. How did half of them live? They speculate that the pyramid energy stimulates the immune system. So we share this with you because it's become very clear in Russia that the pyramids support health, harmony, and well-being. They don't know why, but they trust it to such a degree that they condition crystals in these pyramids and they put them in the hospitals. The space station that is very famous, the Mir space station, they take marble that's been conditioned in the pyramid and put it in the space station so that the cosmonauts can survive for greater periods of time in the weightless environment. So over in Russia, and quite unknown to most of us in the United States, they are discovering the power of pyramid energy to support health, well-being, mental clarity, and a general sense of robustness in life. So it was little accident then that the rods of the pharaohs began to be conditioned in the pyramid. And there's another story to share with you on what are the Egyptian healing rods and why the pyramids activate them to connect you to the mysteries of the ancients.